Hello, everybody. This is Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian. This is Friday, October the 7th, 2022. So we have some new breaking news for you. We have a smoking gun, which is going to verify and confirm what I've been telling you from the beginning of this war. And nobody wanted to listen to me. I've had so many YouTube channels and other people call me a Russian puppet, a propagandist, Putin lover. But folks, I'm going to tell you the truth. We take pride on our channel to bring you the truth and nothing but the truth. So I have an interview on Fox News of ex-General Jack Keane stating that Ukraine was a $66 billion investment and we got our money's worth, that we would use Ukraine to fight the war with Russia, and it was well worth the money. Folks, I have been telling you from day one that we provoked this war. We planned the war starting back in 2014 after the overthrow of the legitimate government of Ukraine, folks. This was a legitimate government. We went in, our CIA, with Victoria Nuland, with a lot of money from George Soros under the Obama administration, and we organized an overthrow, a coup of a democratically elected government. We did. Our country, our CIA, our country did that, folks. We overthrew the legitimate government of Ukraine, and we put in a puppet government that would do the bidding of the United States. And then we started arming Ukraine with billions and billions of dollars since 2014 to fight the war that is going on right now. We planned this, folks, back in 2014 to use the Ukrainian army to defeat the Russian army, with us and NATO supplying them weapons so we wouldn't have to fight the Russians. And the smoking gun interview that you're about to hear, and I'm going to give you some background information from a War News 24/7, this general, ex-general Jack Keane, admits that this was an investment, a very good investment, and we got a good return on our investment for building up Ukrainian forces and have them fight the war for us, with hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians being wounded and dying for us. So, folks, I've been telling you the truth from day one. I'm not taking sides in this war. I take the sides of telling the truth. I'm not spreading any propaganda from any side. I'm telling you the 100% truth. I have been telling you from day one that we provoked this war with Russia. And if you listen to the interview with David Pine, who is the Assistant National Director for the EMP Task Force, he concurs with my assessment that we provoked President Vladimir Putin into invading Ukraine. So we have all of these people across the world, especially in the Western media, wanting to demonize Russia, that he's a Hitler, he's a Putler, and he started this. He's some kind of demon that just out of the blue, he invaded Ukraine because he wants to recreate the Soviet Union. Folks, that is false. The fact is that we planned this war. We provoked him. We knew what was going to provoke him in the first place, that he thought he had no other choice but to invade to protect his population, the Russian people in the Donbass area and the Crimea area. So, folks, you can call me fake news all day long, or you can say this is not true, but I document everything that I tell you with videos, with articles, and with source information. So let's go ahead and let's get to the first bit of information right here. This is coming in from War News 24/7. Shock confession of an American general. We only paid $66 billion for Ukrainians to die for our interest. We paid only $66 billion for the Ukrainians to die for our interest. What is our goal and strategy? So this is General Jack Keane of the U.S. military, the U.S. Army. American General Jack Keane admitted on Fox News Channel that for only $66 billion, we put Ukraine at war with Russia. We did, folks. Our country did. According to him, the United States has invested about $66 billion in Kiev regime since February of this year, which helped to arm Ukraine to create the local society for war with Russia. The four-star general said that the investments in Ukraine today are very profitable because for relatively little money, in the interest of the United States, not the Americans die in the war with Russia, but the Ukrainians. So, folks, he's admitting that we planned the war so that Ukrainians would die, Ukrainian citizens and not Americans. So we're using Ukraine as cannon fodder. Ukrainian men and women, we're using them as cannon fodder for our interests. Investments in Ukraine today are very profitable because for relatively little money, in the interest of the United States, not Americans die in the war with Russia, but Ukrainians. The confession of the former chief of staff of the U.S. Army are so cynical and frank that they hit hard all the pacifists and supporters of peaceful settlement of the conflict in Ukraine. The question of who attacked first and why this is necessary disappears by themselves. You just have to listen carefully to the general's words. Some Republicans question the propriety of our spending today, including Ukraine. But we have a budget of $6 trillion, and in reality, it is several hundred billions more. We invest crumbs in Ukraine, only $66 billion a year. That's only 1.1% of the budget. And we have disproportionately large benefits. So, folks, we're getting large benefits for that little bitty investment in Ukraine. What is the goal of the U.S.? Jack Keane clearly shows the goal of the U.S., of the United States. Washington was able to do the main thing, create a serious opponent for Moscow. Folks, we created a serious opponent for Moscow on the borders of Russia, which should prevent the Russian leadership from pursuing a policy of influence in Eastern Europe, especially in the countries of the former USSR. This will deny them the opportunity under Putin to realize their ambitions, how to take back, for example, some of the former Soviet republics. And if that happened, the Russians still occupied some former USSR republic, then NATO would start a war. The scale of the war would be much larger than what it is happening now, and the dangers of the nukes would be much greater. And the consequences of such a conflict are completely incomprehensible and not obvious to either side. This is what we avoided through the Cold War, a conventional war between the two nuclear powers. Therefore, such an investment, especially in the Ukrainians who are fighting Russia for the interest of the United States, is very profitable. Folks, this is a confirmation of what I've been telling you. I have been vindicated 100% from day one, and I told you who started this war. Russia just did not invade. We provoked them. We planned the war. We planned the whole scenario out from day one, folks. And now we have an American four-star general coming on Fox Business News admitting that $66 billion was a very, very good investment for the United States, that we could use the Ukrainian military, the Ukrainian citizens, men and women, to die on the battlefield for the United States of America. Aren't you happy with our government, folks, the Biden administration? Aren't you happy that we don't mind sacrificing men and women of the Ukrainian military for our interests? only for a small investment of $66 billion. What a return on the money, folks. What a return on the money. So, folks, I don't work for Russia. I'm not a Russian propagandist. I'm not a Putin lover. I love telling the truth, no matter what it involves. And just in case you do not believe me, just in case you do not believe this article, I'm going to take you to the interview right now, folks. Let's watch General 4-star Keane tell you just what I have stated. Let's go ahead and watch that interview. Folks, let's watch it. And let me get it up on the screen right now. I want to show you that we are responsible for the bloodshed, what is going on, and it does look like that we are about to be responsible for starting World War III, which is going to get tens of millions of people killed around the world, because that $66 billion was such a good investment. It was a great investment, folks. And now it looks like that we could be on the verge of triggering Russia into using tactical nukes, which would escalate the situation and cause the United States and NATO to launch a massive airstrike, massive cruise missile strike against Russia, probably escalating into an all-out nuclear war. So let's go ahead and watch and listen to General Keane tell you what I just told you. I'm going to mute my mic and then we're going to listen.
General Jack Keane is looking at the other part of this development here concerning Elon Musk, and that would be probably this notion that some are looking at this as a reflection of his desire to see this end, because European support seems to be ebbing, and at the same time, a number of Florida congressmen are saying because of the hurricane in the United States, it's a reminder we spend a lot more money helping the Ukrainians and not nearly enough helping American citizens. Florida Representative Greg Steube among those saying not another penny to Ukraine. We should focus on helping right now people here at home. General, that is a long and windy introduction to you. I apologize for that, but this is something you were worried about, that the appetite to help Ukraine, ironically now, when it's showing real progress against the Russians, might be the last thing Ukraine needs. What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, certainly the support among the American people to continue to help Ukraine is about 66%, so it's pretty solid. But there are people in the Congress, and some of them Republicans, who have always expressed some concern about spending, in terms of spending money on Ukraine. But you know, we've got a $6 trillion budget. It's actually larger than that by a few hundred billion, and we've invested, and I mean invested, $66 billion in Ukraine this year, and that's like 1.1%. And what are we getting for that investment? We have Putin, who we were dismissing for years and not taking seriously, despite Georgia in 2008, despite Syria, despite Crimea and Eastern Ukraine in 2014, because he's a declining power. He's got his economy's in a tank. He's a one commodity economy. And we had a tendency, frankly, to not take him serious. And yet all the time, he's been talking about Ukraine is a part of Russia, and I'm going to make it a part of Russia. President Xi says the same thing about Taiwan, by the way. And also, and this is the important part, is that his design to bring back under the umbrella of Russia the former Soviet republics that are now in NATO, and that is largely the Baltics and particularly Poland, lesser degree Romania. And we dismissed all of that. But I believe Putin has never given up on that. So for $66 billion, what we're getting is Ukraine is doing the fighting. They are literally destroying the Russian army on the battlefield, which would set them back for years and deny them the ability to ever accomplish under Putin any of his ambitions in terms of taking back some of the Soviet republics. And by the way, if that happened, that would mean war with NATO and Russia. And the scale of that would be much greater than what it is right now. And the risk, certainly, of nuclear war would be much greater. It's something we have avoided all through the Cold War, a conventional war with two superpowers holding strategic nuclear weapons. So for this investment, I think it's well worth it. what has happened in Florida in terms of natural disasters and suffering of the American people, give them whatever it takes financially to solve that problem.
And they're going to get it. To your point, General, they're going to get it. And that's never been in doubt. I just don't know if this was an opportunity for those who were opposed to all the aid that we're giving Ukraine and criticizing the fact that much of Europe is not, a point that you've raised. That's one thing. But if we abandon them or cut back at this time, that could be game over right there.
Oh, and where does Putin stop after he achieves a victory in Ukraine is my point. Right. We are not doing the fighting. And that's critical to what's happening here. Yes, are we funding it? But it's an investment, as far as I'm concerned, investment in the security of our future. And yes, we'll take care of Americans who are in harm's way as a result of the storm, for sure. That's our history. That's our history, right.
General, good man. I always enjoyed chatting with you. General Jack Keane, on these latest developments here.
So there you heard it from the horse's mouth, folks. It was a great investment.
Los Angeles County is one of the biggest counties in the world, actually.
And let me take this off here. So it was a great investment for $66 billion. We have the Ukrainians fighting the war for us. And Ukrainians are dying for the United States. Putin, if you listen to that interview with David Pine just a few days ago, the Russian Federation gave the whole world, all the European countries, all the NATO countries, a list of their demands to sit down at a negotiating table and work out a peace agreement. Russia did not want to invade Ukraine. They didn't want to invade it, folks. They did not want to invade it. They wanted a peace treaty with the United States and with NATO to sit down to work out a peace agreement that would benefit both countries. But our country and NATO did not want a peace treaty with Russia. We wanted war. We wanted exactly what is happening right now. Folks, if you go back to my videos about 2 or 3 months ago, I posted videos of Lloyd Austin, John Kirby, Ned Price, Joe Biden telling the American people and the world that our goal in Ukraine was to weaken and destroy the Russian army in Ukraine, folks. That was our goal. So how can it be our goal if Russia invaded by themselves? We provoked them into invading. So that was our goal. And just showing you all this information right now is just confirming what I've been telling you for 6 months, folks, that not everything is as it seems on the news media. If you really want the news, you have to dig for the news. You have to dig and dig up the truth. And though that truth may not be popular, in the Western news media or in Western culture, the truth is still the truth is the truth is the truth, no matter what it is. And sometimes the truth is hard to handle. So you can blame anybody you want. If this war evolves into a nuclear war, then I want you to have all the facts. I want you to have all the facts before you so that you'll know who is really to blame. And I want to show you another video I just uploaded, folks. If I can get it on the screen. Let me, that's not it. So let me see if I can find this video. I just uploaded a video of Vladimir Zelensky. And I'm not going to play it, but I just want to show you that real quick. It's the last video. But on this video, Zelensky, President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, is begging. He's begging the United States of America right here to go ahead and preemptively launch a nuclear strike on Russia. He wants them to. He wants NATO to go ahead and preemptively strike Russia. So that's the situation that we're facing today. President Vladimir Putin is in his bunker right now, and there are reports coming in from around the world that the next 4 to 7 days is very crucial. that NATO now is planning to give Vladimir Putin an ultimatum. NATO and the United States and the European countries are going to give the Russian Federation and Putin an ultimatum. And the ultimatum is going to be, you withdraw entirely all of your forces from Donbass and Ukraine and Crimea, or else we're going to launch a massive attack on your country. That is what is being reported right now, that NATO, just in a few days, or maybe they've already done it, is going to give President Putin, you either do what we say or we're going to attack you with everything that we have. So, folks, I don't really know what's going to happen. I really don't. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe somehow, some miracle, there will be some kind of peace agreement. Someone will come forward to stop all of this madness. Because, folks, nuclear war is not going to benefit anybody. It's really not going to benefit our country or Russia. It's going to get a lot of people killed. I'm talking about millions, including Europeans. I don't condone war. I don't want war. This war could have been prevented back in December of last year if they would have sit down with Russia and worked out a peace agreement. Or if Zelensky would have came forward and said, listen, I'm going to declare Ukraine a neutral country. We're going to be neutral. We're not taking no sides. We're going to be neutral, just like Sweden and Finland. And Russia said, yes, if you do that, we will not invade. That would have met one of Russia's conditions. If Ukraine would have just said, we're going to be neutral, Russia would never invaded. They would not have taken over any of the land. No Ukrainians would have died. But Zelensky did not do that because the United States and Great Britain, the United Kingdom, did not want him to. We wanted the war. We wanted to inflict as much damage on the Russian military as we could, or as the Ukrainians could, being supplied by NATO. That was our goal, folks, and I've proven that over and over and over again. So the other breaking news that I had right now, and let me see if I can go to it. Let me get this on the screen. This was the headlines for the last day or so. Let me share the screen. This is coming in from Drudge Report. And I did a 6-minute video, folks. But this was the headlines on the video. Let me get it up for you so you can read it. United States of America stockpiles anti-radiation drugs. Biden warns of a nuclear Armageddon. Putin is isolated in his bunker. So I put that on the screen so you guys could see it. And I did not, on purpose, I did not say anything because I wanted the article from Hal Turner to speak for itself. And I want to show you that article since a lot of people did not get it. You know, if that was an IQ test, 99% of you guys would have failed it because all you had to do was read the title of my video. So this is what I was showing in the 6-minute video with no audio. It says, I hate to say I told you so, but Biden says Armageddon approaches over Ukraine. So this is the video that there was no audio on. So let's go ahead and read it together since y'all guys had a hard time with that. He said, for months I have been warning that U.S. activities against Russia and Ukraine could lead to a nuclear war. Over and over and over again I warned. Few listen because, you know, they think they're so smart even though they're not. Now Joe Biden is saying it too. Maybe they'll listen to it now. For months, this website and my radio show have been warning very explicitly that the actions being taken by the U.S. and our NATO vassals is leading to actual nuclear war with Russia over the situation in Ukraine. For providing these warnings, I have been ridiculed as Chicken Little, The Sky is Falling, or The Boy Who Cried Wolf for literally months. Stories on this website outlining actual events warned that real nuclear war was coming. Those stories were smeared as fear porn or clickbait. Now, this is Hal Turner. So these are the headlines that has been coming in the last 2 days. This is Drudge Report, and we brought that. Fox News, Putin's nuclear threat. Biden warns of prospect of Armageddon not faced since 1962 missile crisis. And there we have CBS News is reporting the same thing. United Press International, Biden warns of Armageddon, said Putin, not joking about using nuclear weapons. Then we have the Associated Press. AP is reporting Biden nuclear Armageddon risk highest since 1962 crisis. Then we got the BBC News reporting. So they're all reporting the same information. The Daily Mail, again, is reporting the same information. And here's U.S. politics. So, folks, I just wanted to verify all this information, that this is a very, very likely scenario that the world is facing, and I don't know when it will happen. This week, next month, next year, folks, I don't set dates, but from all indications that I am hearing from a lot of different sources, that they are going to be giving President Vladimir Putin in the coming days an ultimatum. Either you withdraw all of your forces from Ukraine now and Crimea, or NATO will attack you. And if they do give him that ultimatum, then Russia has two options. They have two options. He can either withdraw, or Putin can do a preemptive strike on America and NATO bases. Folks, he can take the initiative and do a preemptive strike. But listen, if we do attack, if NATO and the United States attacks Russia, this is going to be the largest battle you have ever seen. It's going to dwarf the shock and awe in Iraq. I think that if we do attack Russia, we're going to launch everything that we have. I'm talking about thousands of cruise missiles, hundreds of sorties against Russian targets in Ukraine and probably Russia, and probably try to sink all of their battleships in the Black Sea, in the Northern Fleet. I believe that if NATO goes to war with Russia, they're going to hit them hard. We're going to hit them with everything that we've got, because we want to prevent them from doing a counterstrike against our country. But I want to let you know that we provoked this, and now we're going to face the consequences. But so many people, you're missing the big picture here. This war is actually not about Ukraine, folks. World War III is actually not about Ukraine. That's just a sidebar. I'm going to fill you in on why we're going to war with Russia and China. This is the reason I'm about to tell you. It's over the American petrodollar. It's over preserving the petrodollar, the American dollar, as the world reserve currency. That's what this war is about. It's not about Ukraine. Because Russia and China and India and all of the BRICS countries for the last few years have been setting up an alternative to the Western financial SWIFT banking system, folks. They have been setting up their own financial system, challenging the dominance of the world petrodollar. That's what this war is about. It's not about Ukraine. It's about oil and gas, natural gas and oil, and who controls the energy supplies of the world, and also about the petrodollar. But Ukraine is being used as the vehicle to propel the war into World War III. So you have the big picture now, that our country, let me get it back on the screen. Let me get the article if I can find it. Our country made an investment in Ukraine of $66 billion. And according to four-star General Jack Keane, this was the best investment that the United States has ever made, right? So here is the general right here. Here he is, General Jack Keane, former U.S. four-star American general, stating on Fox Business News that the United States government invested $66 billion to have the Ukrainians fight the war for us and die for us, so our American boys would not have to face the Russians. So I hope all of this information sinks in to you tonight. So you will know the truth. But Jesus Christ is coming back soon, folks. It really doesn't matter who starts World War III. It really doesn't, because all of these things are going to come to pass. Jesus said in Matthew 24 there would be wars and rumors of war, natural disasters, all kind of things going on. He also said it would be as in the days of Noah. We are living in the days of Noah, folks.